Winn.
Welcome. Tonight we have the candidates for mayor of Glasgow, with the exception of Mrs. Williams, whom I understand also filed. However, I was advised that she would not be here. I think in the beginning I should explain that regardless of your registration, whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, if you live in the city, you are entitled to vote for the mayor's race or in the mayor's race in the primary in May. The two winners will then face each other in November to see which one finally becomes the mayor. The candidates, I'm going to introduce them from my left and to your right. Darrell Pickett, who is the chief of police of Glasgow, and Shelia Oliver, who's on the city council, Jeannie Scalise, who's on the city council, and Walter Winn Davis, who is a lawyer here in Glasgow. Shelia, I think I'll pick on you first. You're a native of where?
Barron County, Glasgow.
Who were your parents?
My father's the late Leroy Williams. My mother's Bernadine Williams.
You have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I do. I have three brothers. Bernard, who's married to Becky. They have two children, Lauren and Chase. Tony, who's married to Deborah Marshall. And Todd, who's married to Michelle. They have two children, Spencer and Hunter. And I have a sister, Rita, who is married to Don Vance. They have Lacey and Dakota.
All of them live within the city limits?
No, sir. Just my sister. My brothers all live in the county.
And where do you live?
Leach Avenue, here in Glasgow.
And you are married?
I'm married to Gary Oliver, have been for 31 years, and we have two sons, Blake, 26, and Josh, who's 21.
Now, other than as a housewife, are you employed anywhere, either self-employment or to a third party now?
No, sir. I retired from the oil business last July. I sold my business, and I'm no longer, I'm running for mayor.
Where did you go to school?
I went to, I think, every elementary they had in Glasgow as they were built. And I moved from Liberty Street to E.B. Terry to Happy Valley, back to Liberty Street, and then to the new high school, and then went to Western.
And when did you graduate from the high school?
1967.
And when from Western?
1970. I did a 2-year secretarial where we went, instead of 4 years, it was 4-year and a 2-year program. And then I did a year internship with the FBI in Washington.
Now you referred to a business that you were in and retired from it or sold it recently. What was the business?
In 1985, I bought the Ashland Oil Agency, and I ran it until, gosh, let me think of the years here. I ran it for 11 years, and then when Marathon Ashland made their deal, I went in under Benedict Oil as still the agent for Ashland. And then when my contract came up in July, we did not renew, and I retired.
While you were in the business, were you required to make a budget for the business?
Most definitely.
How many employees?
I had 4 employees. I did my own books. I did the budget. I had my own business at the same time that the 17 years that I was running for council, I was in the oil business.
Now, Darrell, will go with you.
All right.
You're a native of where?
Glasgow, Barron County.
You have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have an older sister who is retired and lives in Nashville. I have a brother who recently retired from the Glasgow Fire Department, who is retired to the sunny state of Florida, Fort Myers.
And of course your occupation is chief of police.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
How long have you been chief of police?
I've been chief of police since 1 November of '95.
And where do you live?
I live at 113 Woods Drive.
I know you're married. Who's your wife?
Wife Connie, who works at the Glasgow Daily Times.
Uh, you have children?
Yes, sir. We have 4. Our oldest daughter, Karen Bush, who is married to Mike Bush, live in the Tracy community, and she is a principal at the Allen County Scottsville Primary School. Laura, who is our second oldest daughter, she and her husband, and I have a grandson, Seth. I don't leave my grandson out, Seth Bush, also.
You better not.
No, I won't leave him out. He's great to me. But Laura, who lives in Nashville, and her husband, Bryant, and she works with research. Doug, who is a technician serviceman for the Western Kentucky Gas Company, he and his wife, the former Lori Crowley, who is a biology teacher at Glasgow High School, and they are expecting their first child in July, and Laura and Brian are expecting their first child in November. So I'm going to get 2 more grandkids this year. Angela, who is our youngest, within a few days she'll be graduating from UK with an ME degree, and will be commissioned in the United States Air Force, and her assignment will be at the Space and Missile Center in Los Angeles, California.
In your department, do you have to make a budget
Yes, sir, I do.
each year?
Yes, sir. Since becoming chief in '95, that is the responsibility of the chief of police, is to prepare a budget for the city council and the mayor.
How many employees on the police force?
Okay, I have 3 different departments. I have the police department, which has 47 employees. I have also the animal control, which has 4 employees, 3 full-time and 1 part-time. And also I oversee the auxiliary police department, which consists of 4 members.
You oversee what department?
The auxiliary police.
Okay. Now, do you make a budget for each of them?
Yes, sir, I do. My budget is the largest budget within the city itself, of a little over $2.4 million.
Now, Sheila, you're a native of where?
I'm Jeannie.
I'm sorry.
I'm a native of Columbus, Ohio.
How long you been in Kentucky?
Most of my life, 37 years.
And where do you live?
720 Leslie Avenue,
How long have you lived here?
37 years.
Your parents living?
No, I recently lost my mother in February, and my father was killed in World War II, April 1st, 1945.
Do you have brothers or sisters that live in the city?
No, I have a sister that lives in Cave City and a brother who is deceased.
You're married, I know.
To John Scalise,
And he's a retired school teacher.
right, 30 years band director.
And does he have a secondary occupation that he's following
Yes, he
now?
works at South Central Bank as a courier, 4 days a week.
You all have children?
No,
Now, your education, where'd you go to school?
I went to Ohio University for a year, and then I graduated from Columbus Business University in business and accounting and that.
Did you go to school locally here before you went to
No.
Ohio University?
No, I went to school all in Ohio.
All in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
What is your business
Well,
other than being on the city council?
I own Cornelius Credit and Collection Company, which I bought in 1979. And before that, I worked at Sorensen Manufacturing and South Central Rural Telephone as an accountant.
How many employees do you have now?
4.
I presume you make a budget every
I sure
year.
do.
Walter Winn, where do you live?
304 West Washington in Glasgow.
And you're a native of Barron County.
Yes, sir.
Do you have brothers or sisters?
I have two sisters, Jackie Caldwell, who lives in Nashville, and sister Mary Coron, who lives in Bowling Green.
And what's your occupation?
I'm an attorney. I've been practicing law in Glasgow since 1968.
Now, your education?
Didn't have the luxury that Sheila had of moving around. I attended 12 years at the Liberty Street School, elementary, junior high, and high school. Graduated from Glasgow High School in 1961. Went to Vanderbilt University, majored in economics and business administration, and graduated with a BA degree in 1965, and then continued at Vanderbilt Law School and got my JD degree in 1968.
And I believe your wife's dead.
Edwina died November 2nd last year.
How many children do you have?
I have four. Winn, who lives in Louisville, does construction work, operates heavy equipment. Case lives outside of Boulder, Colorado, and is an environmental engineer. My daughter Elaine Bernius, she's the only one that's married. They live in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. They're in graduate school in a PhD program at Hebrew Union College. And my youngest is Chuck, and he graduates from Glasgow High School on May the 19th. They all attended and graduated from Glasgow High School.
Have you ever made a budget?
Yes, sir. I'm a small businessman. I operate a law office. Right now I have 3 employees. Until Mitchell Nance was elected district judge, I had 5 employees, and I was in charge of all of the administration in the office. But in addition, I've been actively involved in the budgeting process at T.J. Sampson Hospital, where I'm on the board, and we have 900 employees.
Jeannie, I'm going to get your name right.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and
That's
apologize.
okay.
As I understand it, and I'm not sure of this is just information, that Les Settle is going to resign as city clerk. Do you have any information to that effect?
No, he said possibly he would a year or so after the new mayor took office, but I don't have any.
Do you, even though it may be a year away, do you have any idea whom you would like to appoint as city clerk?
No, I'd wait until I had to face that charge.
Now, what about city attorney?
No, but I think what would be good would be several apply for it.
In other words, you'd ask attorneys to apply for the position.
And then I'd like to have a committee formed from the council, the press part of the council, and maybe like Les and Susie, and we all discuss it.
Sheila, what if Settle resigns or does resign within a year? Do you have anybody in mind for city clerk?
No, I did ask Susie if she was interested, our city treasurer, and she said that she really preferred the job she had. So I have been busy campaigning and have not been interviewing people.
Is she normally what you'd call the finance officer for the city?
Yes, sir.
And I assume then, from what you're saying, that you would desire to keep her if you are elected.
Most definitely. I mean, she has worked with the pension programs and the employees, and she is very good at her job. She has not got as much experience with the budget, but she's been there and she knows what's going on.
Chief, whom would you want as city clerk in the event that Settle retires?
Well, as Jeannie and Sheila have also stated, that I guess Les has talked to all of us, and his desire, if the new mayor so desires that he stay on 6 months or at least a year, and hopefully train someone else to be able to take his place if and when he does retire.
Whom would you want as city attorney?
Well, again, I'm with Sheila. I have talked to Susie also, and I think Susie has an interest in the job, like Sheila has stated, that she does a wonderful job. She works a lot of areas that people don't know about, and she's very dedicated to her job. And I would want her to at least consider it if she would want it.
I've neglected to ask you whom you'd want as city attorney.
As city attorney,
As city attorney.
I have said all along when I've been asked that, I really think it needs to be put up for bid, kind of like what Jeannie said. I'd want to talk to them. I'd want to know what they felt like they could offer. I think the salary has got very high where it is now, and there needs to be some negotiation there. But I have not talked to anyone at this time.
Walter Winn, the 3 offices, whom would you want?
Well, you asked first about the city clerk. I've talked to Les, and the new mayor will take office in January. If I am elected, I've asked Les, of course, that will be in the middle of a budget cycle, and I've requested that he stay on at least one full budget cycle, which would mean he would participate in preparing the budget for the fiscal year 2002-2003, and then I've asked him if he would stay on during that budget cycle, and so he would actually participate in 2. And if he would agree to do that, which I think would be a very good transition period, I think the city clerk position is almost evolving into a city manager type position, and I think we need to advertise. Susie's an excellent employee and certainly would want to be considered, but somebody even potentially with CPA credentials, that type of thing, I think it's something we ought to look at. City attorney, I've not selected anybody. I've looked at that. One of the things that I think I bring to the office, and if I'm elected, I can bring a fresh perspective. And one of the things I want to do in all of these areas is look at where we are. But I do, initially there needs to be transition periods, and but I don't have anybody selected at this point that I would, and I think we ought to interview. Sheila made a point about the salary. I've looked at the salary figures. I think that's something that, again, could be discussed with any applicant that would come on. Now, you mentioned 3 offices, and we've talked about
Finance officer.
Susie does a good job in that position. If she wanted to stay there, I would have. I have no problem. I'm not running to get rid of anybody. I think we've got excellent city employees. The office staff in the city building have always been courteous and good to me. Susie, I think, would do an excellent job in continuing in her role, and I would have no problem with her staying there. Les has talked about leaving, and so I think that's
if I can interject there, he can retire within 6 months after the new mayor goes in, and has offered, I think, to all of us, if we want him to stay longer, that he will be available.
Walter Winn mentioned the budget. Who's responsible for the city budget, Sheila?
It is the mayor's budget, and each department puts their budget together, and then it comes before the finance committee and the mayor and the clerk, and we all take our time about, I guess, picking it, I should say. We sit down, we go over it with each department head, and we try to find where they've hid all those little things that we don't want them to have, and when they put down 5 cars and we're only going to give them 4, or the police or the fire chief wants a new fire truck. I mean, we sit down with each department and go over the budget, but ultimately it goes back to the mayor, and he presents it to council as his budget.
But ultimately, it's the responsibility of whom?
Les starts it.
Yeah,
Les starts
but I'm talking
it.
about the final budget. Who's got to enact it under the law?
The council votes for it, but it is the mayor's budget.
Now, the chief has already mentioned that he has to submit a budget.
Yes, sir.
What other departments have to submit a budget?
All departments have to submit a budget.
Well, let's go into that a little bit. Does the landfill operation have to submit a budget?
Yes, sir.
Does the plant board have to submit a budget?
Not on this, no.
No.
Does the water company have
You
to?
talking to me or?
I'm talking to him. Does the water company have to submit a
No,
a
no,
budget?
sir, not to the city, no. Not in our manner, no.
Now, let's talk a little bit about grants.
Okay.
Are they ever included in the budget?
Sometimes they are.
When and how?
Well, for instance, if we think we're going to get an industry, we have some money put aside for that, and if we have to have a matching grant, for instance, and let's say it's one that's 100,000, we have to come up with half of it, or 20,000, we have to come up with 10 of it. It just depends.
All right, now, if you get it and you come up with half of it, how's the other half accounted for?
How is it? You mean it's already in the budget? We take it. Sometimes we have to take it out of general fund and
All right,
amend
you're
the
talking
budget.
about the half, I think,
Yes.
as I understand
Yes,
you.
right.
What I am asking about now, let's say you get a grant of $50,000 and you have to come up with $25,000. Who accounts for the other $25,000? Accounting and how it's spent and so forth.
Well, it comes down through the general fund and goes into that department, whichever is going to get the grant.
So it goes in
And
other
let's say the
words,
recreation is going to get a grant of 50,000. We have to have a 25,000 match on that or something. It comes down through the general fund. We might have to amend the budget from the general fund to put it into the recreation department, for instance.
you agree or disagree, Walter Winn?
I think that's essentially correct. Many of the grants are matching grants. Some of them aren't. If my memory serves me correctly, I think right now there are 14 different funds in the budget.
Yes.
There's the general fund, that's the biggest, but there's a fund for instance, for the Myrtle Street project, which was I think 100% grant. All of that money will be spent through that fund. And let me tell you, all of these funds have screwy little names and little letters, and so I'm not going to try to get into that. But that one in particular, all of that money will be spent on Myrtle Street, and it's accounted for through that fund. The general budget goes through the general fund, and I don't know that any grants necessarily run through that. I think they try to segregate them, at least as I have reviewed the budget. They try to segregate them so they can keep up with them better. But they do keep up with the receipt in there from the grant and the expenditures from that. The city can, by amending a budget or by going into surplus, take money and fund their proportionate part of those grants if they're going to do something with those things.
Some of it is in kind too, not actually money. It's like we go in and put curbs and gutters and sidewalks, and that's in kind. It's not necessarily just cash money. It's in kind type things.
All money comes into the general fund, if that's what you're asking.
That's what I'm
Anything that
asking.
comes
Yeah.
into the general fund, and then it comes before council, and we appropriate it to the right fund. In other words, if it's a big enough grant like Myrtle Street or like the millions of dollars that we put into the airports, I mean, those come about in different budgets
Well, it's
or different departments.
It's like some of the grants that I have that once we pay up front, so to speak, then we're reimbursed by state or federal every what grant that we have, and again, it goes back into the general fund, but again, we pay up front, then they repay us back. And there's a lot of different funds within the city, as we well know, and again, it's like the budget itself. You have different accounts, and we have different funds that those grants, they come out of.
And then we have a grants and subsidies that falls in under the legislative budget. And that's the grants that even we send back out that are appropriated, like to the Horse Cave Theater or to the YMCA. But that all comes first. All monies go into the general fund and then are appropriated.
Now, you have a contingency fund in the budget. right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the size of the contingency fund for this year?
For this year they're working on right now,
The year that we're in.
we're in the mayor's contingency fund.
Yes. Well, is it exclusively the mayor's contingency
Mhm.
fund?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure exactly how much it is right now. I'm trying to think. It's usually about $5,000, something like that. I believe in it, Sheila. Up a little bit more, but
About 51.
no, is it that much now? I thought we did raise it then.
Well, we added to it too whenever the heating bills got so high and different things where we have so many people come in that
Yeah.
the city helps.
See, we cut it down, you know, and gave more to the community relief which
Right.
several years back.
And then it's come back up.
Now it's come back up then. So
Sheila, what is the total budget for this year?
The total budget's $23 million. Now that's including landfill and everything, but what we really operate on as far as our departments, it's a $9 million budget. As far as what, $9,600 in expenditures, $11 million on revenue. We should have $1.3 million carryover this year. And we have to have that.
The town has really grown. I was on the city council in 52, 53, I think, as I remember. And the city budget was roughly $500,000.
Well, it was $4 million in 1986, the first one I worked on, so we have come a long way.
I believe it.
I think it was 11 million when I first got on city council.
You got any comments about the contingency fund?
Yes, sir. I think
Winn?
it's too high, and I would prefer to see it reduced and those monies be allocated, for instance, to the emergency relief fund that actually administers most of that money and helps make decisions about most of that money, but or most of the people that come and ask for that money. But I'm not terribly thrilled about a contingency fund of $50,000. I think that's too
Well,
high.
I don't want to have misled you in any way. Say, like when they put the traffic islands in and we needed to get something in there, if that cost $2,000, and I'm saying that off the top of my head, I do not know what it was, that comes out of the contingency fund. When we were working, say, on the gazebo, and we wanted to build that to get ready for concerts, that came out of the mayor's contingency fund. That money's just set aside for little things that you just don't have to go through so much process. And he has always, if he's going to spend $50 out of it, he usually calls every council member.
Ms. Barrett, I understand that, and again, I want to say I think Mayor Honeycutt over his 17 years has done a good job. But if I'm elected, my administration, I would prefer to see those items budgeted and either put in the current budget or carry it over to the next year's budget. One of the things that I'm very comfortable with, having done it at the hospital for years, is a capital budgeting process, not just for the current year, but possibly even 3 to 5 years out. And those things that come up like traffic islands and gazebos and things that we need to build or things that we need to do need to be looked at in the budgeting process and decisions made. I would prefer to have it done that way rather than just have a contingency fund.
See, another thing, what I was thinking about those 5,000 was, people has emergencies, and maybe they've been to community relief and they can't get help this particular month because they got help the month before, and their electric's going to be shut off or their gas, and it's the middle of winter. Well, the mayor uses some of the money out of that, and that was usually around 5,000. That's what I was thinking about. That, and on emergency cases, let's say, for instance, I've been mayor pro tem before, and people's called me up and said they didn't have any food, and could I get them some food? Well, I said, well, have you gone to community relief? They said, well, we went there last month. They won't give us anything this month because we got it last month. So the mayor then would maybe give them like a $25 voucher to go to Houchins or somewhere to get food. But that's another thing in that contingency fund. It's not just strictly
It's mostly emergency
It's all
type things. You
emergency type
cannot
things.
plan for it.
Let me get my 2 cents in also, and I guess disagree with Alderman to some degree. I deal with the budget. I know what a budget is, and I know what is available and what comes out of those budgets. However, this plan here, I think, is something. And again, whoever becomes the new mayor has to really look at it. And again, whoever the new mayor may want to cut it, but it's flexible money, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And as Sheila stated, the mayor clarifies it with all council people, and that they have a general knowledge of where that money is going. So again, you have to look at it, what is needed, but it's the flexibility, and you need that. It's just like within my department, I have no flexible money except accident report money that is paid, and that helps us buy stamps and tolls and several things, and you've got to have that to some degree, because the budget itself is not zeroed down to the very exact penny itself.
It's the best guess.
It's a guesstimated budget, and you have to run it as such.
If I understand what Walter Winn is saying, he's saying that, for instance, you have set up a fund, and you correct me if I've misunderstood you.
I'll correct you if you.
I'm sure you will. But if I understand, you're saying set up an emergency fund of so many dollars, another fund for other items, other specific items, rather than just having a general contingency fund.
Well, the thing that the point I'm trying to make is I don't see the need to have $50,000 or $60,000 in a contingency fund to be spent. Literally, the mayor has the authority to spend that. And
Well, we're going to get into that in a minute.
I would prefer to see. If someone mentions, for instance, out of that money we build gazebos or traffic islands. I would prefer to see those items budgeted
In a separate item of the
I know
budget.
in the general budget, but
But it's a separate item.
That's right.
Where are you going to put them?
Well, that would be up to the street department. If a decision is made that we need traffic islands, then the street department would include that in their budget. If the decision was made that we need a gazebo, probably the recreation department would put that in their next budget. Things don't always have to be done immediately, and I think one of the things that the next mayor needs to do is to take time, look at the needs of the city. I attended the county judges forum, and they were talking about they expect the county to be strapped for money. I think we are looking very possibly over the next 2 or 3 years for a situation where the city's funds may be tight. Everyone that I talk to says that the grants, for instance, are drying up. So I think the budgeting process, as far as doing these things, needs to work. And yes, I think there does need to be some emergency money. And if somebody needs food, we may need to work on that. But my understanding of community relief, those Sue Haynes and her staff, they do an excellent job screening people. They do an excellent job of trying to use the money, and a good deal of that is city money, use the money that the city gives them to take care of people, but I think they try to be good stewards of that money. And there comes a time when you may have to say no. And I think, I don't have a problem with that.
But as I understand it, you're saying there again, and I think I understand each other and we do, that, for instance, there should be a separate item in the budget, but be in the general budget, a separate item for that.
For a gazebo.
Or for the relief fund and so forth.
Well, there is an appropriation.
Yeah.
I know, but
there
I
is
mean,
an appropriation.
you're talking about, if I understand it, putting that in another department, not necessarily the city, government, but being accountable.
Well, it is accountable.
It is accountable.
Yeah.
All monies are accountable.
Yeah, all money is accounted for.
Do you agree with what he's saying or not?
Walter?
Yeah.
No.
Do you
No.
agree or not?
If he'd sit there for 17 years like I have, he wouldn't be saying what he's saying now.
He wouldn't.
Do you agree, Chief?
Do I agree with Walter Winn?
Yeah.
I don't agree, as I said, well, I go to some of what he's saying. And again, whoever the new mayor is, I think you've got to look at it and see how much money is it, 40,000, 50,000, 30,000. Again, I know with us three, we've had experience with the budget and we understand it probably maybe a little bit more, but again, all monies that are spent, it is accountable, audited every year. And again, it's not like the mayor is doing everything by himself, because he is not, and I don't care who goes in there as mayor. He is the mayor, he is the executive authority of the city, but yet he consults with his council people, and that's what you have to do.
And he's not going to spend money, or she's not going to spend
Right.
money, unless the council approves it.
Well,
Because
that-
that's just the
It's
way
all
it is.
agreeable, yes. I mean, it's
That
And you can't have so many funds that you can't keep up with it. It's hard enough just to keep up with those inside each department. You can't start creating extra.
I think any new mayor, whoever the new mayor is, you're going to go in, and you're going to go in easy, because some of the things that, like what Winn is talking about, yeah, you may want to cut, but you got to look at it first, and again, just don't go in wide open. And I hope that none of us would do that, but really plan and see what you really want to do, and if all funds are actually being, directed in the right direction.
That's exactly what I was saying. I think we need to spend more time looking at those things. And I'm not talking about setting up funds, but if, for instance, if the gazebo, was used as an example, if that would come under the auspices of the recreation department, then Debbie could include that in her next budget. She wants to spend the funds for a gazebo, just like Chief Pickett would include in his next budget if he needs 4 cars or trying to slip 5 in and couldn't get by Shelia. That could be included in the next budget. What I object to are doing those things, and what I will, I don't want to do is doing those things out of a contingency fund when I feel like they ought to be a budgeted fund.
Well, and again, a lot of times when we prepare a budget, we plan for the next coming year. And if we need 4 cars, we put in 4 cars, or new desks, or lockers, or whatever we put in there. But there are some of those items that may come up, or something comes up later in the year that you have not budgeted for. Of course, you have to go before the mayor and the city council. They have to amend the budget to put so much money in there. But some of those items like that, which is of lower necessities, then it can come out of that fund.
you've just brought up something that I've had people ask me about, and I don't have it in any of my things to ask about, but since you brought it up.
Okay.
How many police cars are there in
There you
Glasgow?
There are 21 police cars, and I'll be more than glad to tell you how I got them if you want me to.
He conned us is how he did it. he
A budget is approved by the mayor and the city council.
Well, I understand that, but my next question is, do you need 21 police cars?
Okay, can I explain why we have that?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm asking you.
I made chief 1 November 95. We had 4 police marked cars, okay? And the city of Glasgow was spending over $100,000 each year to replace those 4 cars because they were wore out. They had high mileage. Usually within a year's time they had about 100,000 miles on them. Okay, probably in 96 or 97, I started adding 1 by 1, 2 by 2, or whatever. And again, spending over $100,000 every year to buy police vehicles. In the 2000 year budget, which would have been budgeted like $125,000, that account was 0. Meaning that the taxpayers of the city of Glasgow did not have to spend $125,000 for new cars, and our cars are lasting a lot longer. This year I only spent, I think, $39,000 out of the budget, and probably that much next year if the council approves it. And by having a take-home vehicle, and take-home vehicles are given to those police officers who live only in the city. Those cars are put out into communities, and I've had a lot of people who live in the neighborhoods where police officers live that they say they like it because that police car sitting there is a deterrent to crime. And we wonder how we have a low crime rate is because they can drive that police car to the store, and they can, when they're out there, they may not be actually on duty, but they're there. And I've always said, if you want to go back the old way and spend over $100,000, but I think that is foolish, and I have proved, I think, that yes, by having a take-home vehicle, which that car, we're going to get at least 5, 6, or 7 years out of the livelihood of that vehicle.
Now,
You forgot
whichever
to
one
mention
wants to.
Insurance goes up, but it's a lot. But
maintenance
it's far.
and gas
No,
and all
honest. My maintenance is no more than it's ever been. Honestly, this year our maintenance is going up a little due to some accidents, but of course we were already reimbursed, by the insurance companies.
What accounting is made of all this money? That is, all of it together. What do you have to have for accounting, Chief?
For accounting?
Yeah. Is there any accounting made of your budget?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean,
Who?
Well, the mayor, or like I say, it's audited every year.
Your budget is audited?
All city budget
The
is
entire
audited
budget.
every year. Yeah.
I'm going to get to that.
Yes, sir.
Is your budget audited separately and then also audited again?
Yes.
As the city budget is audited in its totality?
Yeah, like I say, each account, of course, like I say, there's certain items that comes out of each account, and just like I just completed my budget for 2002 and 2003, and there is a percentage of usage of that budget, and of course we've got 4 months yet to go, and what we have budgeted in that for this year's budget, would I use 100% of it, 80%, 90% of whatever, and it gives the mayor and the finance committee an ideal, did I use all the money that was budgeted, for my accounts?
Yeah, but after the budget's over, does the CPA check its budget for an accounting?
No.
They go through every department.
At the end of the year,
and then
yes.
it's
The
total.
CPA goes through every department
Yes,
and then gives a
a final report.
final report.
Yes. But every department, they spot check. They may go pull invoices and purchase orders, and they spot check every department. Sometimes they go through everything in one
It was
department.
my understanding throughout the year they go and check
They
these
spend
right,
like
then
months,
give a final
weeks
account
at a
at the end of
time
the year.
in City Hall doing this. The CPA firm that does the auditing. And they do pull things out to
Yes.
check.
Now, as an example of something I'm going to get to, the airport. Is any accounting made with that money? Which was in millions of dollars.
Yes, that's all accounted for too. And then you have the separate airport board who does it, who is
Well,
over
did they
that.
file a report about the several $1 million that's spent on that airport out there?
That was run through our budget.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that was run through our budget. When the federal money and all came through, and we put our $1 million with it when we were doing the different site works and stuff. And that all comes through the general fund. That's a separate line item.
I understand.
Their budget, they put that in, and it goes under legislative or the administrative budget.
I understand that, but what accounting is made of it? Of how they spend it?
Their board, and then they're audited. Their board puts.
But the city doesn't do an audit of that.
That's something that I would look into as mayor. Right now, all the city entities, they hire their own. And I mean, there's several different accounting firms, and it seems like everybody's using a different one, and everything gets put together in different reports. And with this new Gatsby thing that's coming in, and we're going to have to start being accountable for all of our roads and all of our sidewalks and everything, and listing as liabilities, and the plant board's going to have to do that, and the water company's going to do that, and the runway at the airport's going to have to be accounted for. So I think probably in the next year or two, before 2004, we're going to have to some way put this all together. It's never been done before.
Well, now you're getting to
Right.
my original question.
It's never
is
been done
whether or not
before.
it's been consolidated and then a
No.
CPA audit.
We've just now got,
Yeah.
some years back, got the water company over on the same yearly.
One of the things that I personally think is important, I think Sheila's alluded to this, is, I think the citizens of our community are entitled to know more of what the finances are in the city, and for all of these city agencies, such as the Plant Board and the Water Company and the Airport Board and the Housing Commission, all of those, in a sense, run autonomously. They are audited, but I don't know that we really get a report. I think the citizens of our community are entitled to know about that. And I want to take just a second and get back to the police car thing, because that has been talked about. Mm-hmm. I've talked to Darrell about this, and he has indicated, and I have no reason to doubt it, that he honestly feels that from a budgetary standpoint, their current procedure is better than what they had before. Now, if I'm elected mayor, every department head is going to go through similar processes. I think it's time to take a fresh look at everything we're doing, the good things we need to keep, the things that we can do better, we need to do better. And if I'm elected and Darrell stays on as chief of police, or whoever is chief of police, they're going to have to justify that. And I think, the street department needs to justify what they're doing. I appreciate Darrell's work, and if he is in fact correct, which I don't doubt, that's the type of budgetary process we need to go through. I say that but I want to get back. I agree with what I think we're going to, not only by law, but I think just the people in Glasgow are entitled to know what I would call ancillary agencies or sort of autonomous agencies are doing. Those agencies are all controlled by boards. They've got good people on them, but those boards need to hold accountable, for instance, here at the Plant Board, Billy Ray. And I think they do. But those are things that need to be. Accountability is important. But they are audited. There is a proper accounting, I think. It's just, I don't think we get the
Not
information.
an overall audit.
We receive
not of
the
every-
budgets. We receive a budget from the Plant Board. We receive, not
Yeah.
a budget, but an audit.
I understand that, but there's,
But it's all
what I'm
public
getting
record.
at, there
It's
is
never
no
been put
overall
together.
audited.
No, sir.
That's what I was getting at.
But what I'm saying, that everybody can go, and it's public record for the audit or the budget, that they can see it.
How many people do you think?
We have public hearings before we ever approve the budget, and you're lucky if you got a half a dozen people there.
How many people do you think would understand it if they went and looked at the record?
It's printed in the paper. All they have to do is read it.
That's not my question. How many people do you think would understand it?
She's not going to answer
I
that.
have no idea, because I don't know how many people would read it.
Wouldn't you think that a simplified report to the public would be better? Do you or do you
Well,
not?
It probably would be better for some people. I mean, some people can read it and some can't, but
I've been looking at budgets for 30 years, and the city budget it takes a lot of time to
It
get
does
through
take a
it.
lot of time.
I think you're absolutely right. I think a simplified report to the people of our community is something that is important. And if I'm elected, that is something that I'm going to do.
Well, again, as an elected official, we are accountable, and we should be accountable. In times past throughout the state, the nation, whatever, you have people who have frauded their communities or cheated their communities or whatever, and we have to be accountable. And I'm accountable for my budget, and if something goes wrong, then I'm on the carpet myself.
Well, who's going to determine if you have been accountable?
Well, the auditors do right now, and the way we do our budget, when it's audited and said and done and printed, that is because it is required by law to be done that way. Now, as Walter says, if you're going to go on later on, and that's a good suggestion, to simplify it, then that's going to be just another step that is not required by law, but that you want to do it just for the people.
Excuse me. Jeannie, why do you want to be elected mayor?
Because I've been on the city council for 13 years, and I've been planning for this. Actually, 8 years ago I planned for it because I thought Charlie was going to retire, and then he said he wanted 4 more years. Then he told me he wanted another 4 years. So I think that I have the knowledge and the background, but being on the council, I've got 39 years experience with accounting. I have 23 years experience managing employees in a business. And I said that my business is automatically sold if I'm elected. I would be a full-time mayor, and this is a job that it's not an 8 to 5 job. It's 7 days a week, 24-hour days, lots of times. I remember one time back several years ago during the ice storm, I happened to be mayor pro tem when we had that bad ice storm, and I was on the phone all night long while Charlie was in Lexington at a meeting. Of course, the ice storm wasn't there, so I'm saying there's times that you're going to be working maybe in the middle of the night for some type of catastrophe of some sort. It's just not an 8 to 5 job.
Well, do you propose anything new or a change in anything?
I'm sure I will change some things. It's something you have to go gradually at. You just can't go in and say, this is what I'm going to do right now. You know, you have to just work your way into it. I've got to learn some things, the way maybe Charlie has done them, you know, and maybe make some changes in some things, but it's something you've got to go in gradually.
That brings up a question. What is the function of the mayor, legally speaking?
The function is to maintain the city and maintain the money that comes into the city and the budget.
Insofar as your contingency fund, can a member or members of the council request that certain money be used from that fund for certain things?
No.
I'm talking about council members.
No, like if I would want some of his contingency fund used for certain things, like
Yes.
well, I imagine if I went in and I asked him to put some new flowers in the flower boxes around, he would.
That's not my question, or not what I'm getting to. Does he have to listen to you, or has he got complete control of the contingency fund?
Yes.
Insofar as proposing what it's going to be used for, but then you all have to approve it.
Right.
He
We're
gets your
strictly the
approval. Is that the
legislative
way
body.
it is?
Yeah, we're strictly the legislative body of the city.
Do you agree that's the way it's done?
Once you pass the mayor's budget and you say this is the way the money's going to spend, it's his money to spend. He is the boss. He is the ultimate power.
Do you agree?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
The mayor is the executive authority. He's the CEO.
Do you agree?
Yes, sir. I agree that he is
The man.
The boss.
the boss.
We all get to look at the budget. I mean, before it's ever passed, we go in when he has the department heads in there, and we're sitting there with him. We're going over it. I mean, all the council members has the opportunity because he lets us know.
Yeah.
Not only the finance committee, but the whole council as a whole. So you get a chance to see it before you actually pass it on the night of the it's on the agenda.
Darrell and I are trying to make a joke here, and you haven't picked it up. He is the boss.
But she's going to be.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought, see if we couldn't get something going here.
Yeah.
Good night. We don't want to be too tense.
Well, we're
about
talking
all
about the
this.
present mayor.
Oh,
The
okay.
The
president.
new
Oh,
mayor will be a
okay.
female.
Because it's his contingency.
And that is another thing
And
I'd like
if
to
it's
bring up.
20,000 and not
You may bring it
50,000,
up.
he'll
That's
beat
what-
us
while
all
we're here.
tomorrow.
I would like to inform the people that there is 59 female mayors in the state of Kentucky, and I'd like to make it 60 by electing me.
Well, I'm sure she'd like to make
Well,
it.
she would too. But there is cities like from Lexington to several northern Kentucky cities, for instance, Florence, Fort Thomas, I believe, or Fort Mitchell, one or the other up there.
Bowling Green?
Bowling
Fort
Green.
Thomas, not Fort Mitchell. I was with him in Frankfurt
Yeah.
today.
And Allen County, Scottsdale's got one. Horse Cave's got one. Joanne Smith up there, she's done a fantastic job. She got a big grant on that Owens Hotel. So see, women can do just
Well,
as
I
good a
think
job.
women can do, but there's another side to that. You all haven't had long enough time to mess up.
like the men has.
That's right. That's exactly what
We
I'm
don't
saying.
mess up.
We don't mess up. We're perfection.
That's what you think.
How do you know?
Nobody is perfect.
No, I know that.
Perfection is not possible. What changes, if any, do you propose if you're elected?
Well, let me back up. The first question you asked was, why do you want to be mayor? Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, I think the public's entitled to know
Well,
that.
let me address that. I haven't been running for mayor for 8 years. I didn't consider running until January of this year. I thought about it at that time because I really felt like the citizens of Glasgow needed additional choices. And since then, both I have come out and Darrell has come out. I think that's important for the people of Glasgow to have those choices. I wanted to run for mayor after looking at everything because I felt like I could be of service to the community. Throughout my years here, I've been involved in many activities, all of which have been in a service capacity. And so I want to be mayor because I think I can make a difference. I think I can be a good leader in the community. I think I will be a good spokesman for the community. I think I'm qualified both by education and experience. Now, what changes? I'm not running to make changes. I'm not running to fire anybody or to do anything. I am running to bring a fresh perspective to city government. And I will tell you that, and I think you know me well enough, if I'm elected, I will sit down and look at every aspect of city government, the things that are being done well, and there's much that's being done well. Mayor Honeycutt deserves credit for being a good mayor. The council deserves credit for being a good council. But it's like nobody's perfect, whether it's male or female, and there are things that can be done better. I want to I don't plan to jump into doing anything. I plan to take the time and look and make the changes that need to be made to make the city run more efficiently and to save the taxpayers money. You mentioned what is the function of a mayor? It's to run the city. He has the authority to do that. I don't propose to do it that way. I want to use the council. I hope to reinvigorate the committee system. I want them to be very much a part of what is going on. And I want the department heads, the chief of police, the fire chief, the head of the recreation department, to be involved in what's going on. And if there, like I say, if there are changes that need to be made, we'll make them. And if there are things that are good, we'll leave them like they are.
Sheila, why do you want to be mayor?
Well, first off, I'd have to say it was the same reason that I ran for city council 17 years ago. I love this city, and I just think I have a lot to offer, especially after the 17 years that I've been on council. My finance background, not only in 32 years as a businesswoman, but the budget itself, the work that I've done with the individual employees, the department heads, just understanding where the money comes from and how it's spent. And it's not just one department, it's all departments. Like I said, I've done that the whole entire time. I've made statewide connections, not just through the league or the local governor's conference, but I don't know, I just think I have a lot to offer, and I think I would do a good job. I've just always wanted to do this.
Chief?
Well, again, I think all of us have our own qualities and leadership styles, and by being in city government for almost 30 years now, and being chief of police for the past 7 years, and I feel like that I have did the best of my ability to be a good chief of police and try to implement and produce and make things happen that would improve the department and for the citizens of Glasgow. And my job is a little bit different than others, but again, I feel like I can bring experience to the mayor's office with the leadership, and again, not just rush into things. And again, there might be some changes and things that we that we all need to look at. And it's just like whoever takes my place as chief of police, he'll probably come in and do some changes himself. So I think all of us have to look at that, but we have to continue what we're doing. We don't go back. We've got a plan. We've got to look at the future. We've got to look at what's going to be 10, 20 years, 30 years down the road. I know the landfill, Jeannie, that you're very familiar with, 30 years. But after 30 years, what? And again, you got to look at the future. And there are monies that are available today that may not be available tomorrow. And you got to look at that, and you can't rush into it. And you got to step back. But again, we got the Plaza Theater, we got the library. We got a lot of issues right now that we got to look at right now. And as far as implementing new things, I don't think that's wise to do that right now, because our economy is, it's in a stop position almost right now, and we got to look at that and be very, very careful, whoever the new mayor is.
Well, we've got to go toward economic development.
Exactly.
We are out of room in our industrial parks, and
that's what planning
we
comes
were
in.
in Frankfurt at 8 o'clock this morning, making sure that we saw Richie Sanders and Jody Richards, because we want to make sure we get some funding help, because we've got to get this third industrial park open, because that's where the jobs lie. That's 78% of our budget income is payroll taxes from industry and small business.
What, I haven't seen anything on this one way or the other as far as Glasgow is concerned, but I knew we were hoping to become a gold city, and I haven't heard whether we did or didn't. Bowling Green did. I saw that. Did we, or are we still in the
We are
running?
not gold, and from what I'm understanding, we lack one thing, being able to even apply for the gold this year. We'll probably have to wait till next year.
What's that?
And I apologize, I don't know. I just know in talking to Rhonda, she told me that there was one thing that was holding us back.
I don't think she ever really told us what it was when we was talking about it one night at the council meeting, because she was there, and she said it was.
Well, that brings up something else. We're going to have a few quick ones, and we're going to quit here. Do you think that we need an employee, as proposed by one of your fellow council members, to create a special position for what I call a fundraiser?
No,
Sheila?
sir. No, I won't say that. We're meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning. We're going to meet with Rhonda Troutman and Mr. Stutler, and I think Eldon's going to join us. And if you remember at the council meeting, the mayor asked that the finance committee look into this. I've been calling around. The two large cities, Lexington and Louisville, do have them. We're probably looking at a salary of $50,000, and in one respect, I think that's very high. I think if we put an employee in there, they're going to say, I've got this city job, and they're not going to work as hard as if we look to find somebody to do this job, to give them a percent of the grant. Like Will Linder, when we did the airport out here, he made like $89,000 because he got 10% of the money that came in for that program. And if you've got, and it's very important, people don't understand sometimes on grants. I know that I applied for a $150,000 grant toward recreation some years back, and Mr. Tuck in the recreation department did not know I was working on this, and they applied for a $20,000 or $25,000 to do the walking trail. Well, when it came about, the $20,000 is the one that got accepted, and we lost the $150,000. So I totally agree that we need one person to be responsible and do these grants. But already we're having people call and, like, say a church wants to know if you can apply for a grant on this, and the county wants to do this. So here we go again. Are we going to do a joint endeavor? Are we going to do another interlocal agreement and do it for the whole of the county and city? Or are we going to look for a city employee just to keep up with city grants? So we're just in the beginning stages, but at this point right now I would have to say that I don't think it's feasible.
You're like,
Now, Will Linder also did our Myrtle Street project, the grant, and we had a meeting last week, and
And
he's
I said
already
airport,
looking.
and it is Myrtle,
Myrtle
Street.
Street.
I'm sorry, that was 89,000. I knew
He did the
email.
Oak Street grant. Remember several years back? I might have been back when.
Do you agree with Sheila?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree or disagree?
Well, I'm not exact. I totally agree that the person that is selected, we should look at a percentage rather than putting another employee on the city payroll. I particularly think that's important in this time when the consensus from people that I've talked to, both locally and on state level and even on the federal level, that grants are drying up. We don't need to put a $50,000 employee on the payroll when it may be difficult to get grants. So I think we ought to be very careful. Now, cooperation, certainly. We need someone to coordinate applications in the city and in our county and in our area here. We don't need to have people running off. You know, it would be an excellent thing, and we need to have cooperation among the city agencies and between the city and the county to make sure we don't have those problems in the future.
Chief, do you agree or disagree?
Since becoming chief in '95, I have received over $1 million in grants. And I guess I have been blessed to have, I know I have written one or two of myself, and I've been blessed to have somebody else to be able to do that. But while they were researching and doing all the figuring and everything, you know, I had to take them off the street, you know, and give them some time. So as far as a full-time employee, I think we really got to look at that. Again, there are grant monies out there that we probably don't know about, and if someone is specifically specified to look for those grants, again, $50,000 salary, I think that's a little steep. But again, somebody needs to be doing more than what we're doing now to get these grants available. And as Walter Winn said, yeah, grants are drying up. I've had several grants for mine to dry up, and there are no more. They may come into existence years down the road, but as of right now, you know, they're deleted. And again, but still, we need somebody who can devote a lot of amount of time in searching and seeking out these grants.
You and I have done contingent fees for 30 years, and sometimes you know you work hard if you're going to get paid that way.
Well, yes, I understand that. A quick answer. Do you, and I'll start with you, Walter Winn, do you favor assuming funds can be raised either voluntarily or finally with tax money? Do you think that the library should remain where it is or should be moved somewhere else?
Well,
now, there's a lot of talk out there about that.
The library board is going to have to make its own decision.
Apparently they have.
They have, and I think the biggest problem they've got, I mean, it's great to make the decision, but where are you going to get the money? I really thought the offer that was made by the Renaissance Committee was a reasonable offer. The library board has every right and privilege to turn that down, which they did. They are now in a position where they're going to have to, and I don't know how they're going to do it, they're going to have to fund whatever they do. I was encouraged when I attended the county judge forum that both of the candidates that spoke there indicated that they're going to help the county stand up to what they said they would do.
I'll get to them the third Monday in May.
40 years ago. If the county puts the money in that they should have been putting in, that will help the library board's financial problems. But they're going to have to make that decision, and you know.
The county doesn't have the money.
Jeannie, what do you think?
I more or less feel the same way he does. I think that it would have been nice for them to be up at Liberty Street, but that is ran by the board, and the board made the decision, and I can live with it if they can.
Sheila?
Well, I agree that it's their decision. I hate that they didn't move up there because of the space, but I do understand their reasoning was they're going to have to spend money whichever direction they go. So if they can stay there in the Mary Weldon Library and enlarge it, which they think they can, for the same amount of money, they feel like that's where they want to stay, then I'd have to agree with them.
Well, they'd have to spend more than $50,000.
Well, now $50,000 is what Renaissance offered to help them get started. But
Yeah.
if you've
That
been
was-
up there
that's
and
gonna be a
walked
drop in the
around,
bucket.
they got a long way to go.
That's what I.
And they've got a long way to go where they are, and that's what they said. If we're going to have to tear out walls and we're going to have to do all this, why not just stay where we are and increase the size?
Chief,
No funds, and I've talked to people, and it stays as is.
now one final question. Several of you have talked about committees. There is a saying, and I have found it to be true in most instances, that if you want to kill something, refer it to a committee. What do you think of that, Walter Winn?
Well, story I heard once, you know what a camel is?
I've seen pictures of them.
Right, it's a horse put together by a committee. Committee,
That's a good analogy.
all right. You know what I'm talking about, committees. We have an excellent group of people running for city council. We have incumbents that are excellent candidates. We have people that are running that are excellent candidates. 12 people, the citizens of Glasgow, are going to elect 12 people. They're going to be elected at large, just like the mayor is. They're going to be people with good ideas, with good judgment. When I talk about commit, I want to utilize that. I think it's something that needs to be utilized. What I've heard since I've been involved in this running process is that sometimes the council, they don't feel that they are as involved. So I want there to be an active working street committee or whatever committee. I want them to be doing things. I want them to be sharing their ideas. I want to run things through them. In addition to that, I want those committees to be a sounding board so that if there are problems that come to the mayor, and for whatever reason the mayor's not interested in that, or that's not the thing that pushes his button and they fester, I want to have a procedure whereby the council, those committees can act as a sounding board to get issues resolved and problems solved. And I think it's important. No, I don't. I don't want to just have committees for the sake of committees. I want them to do something, and I think we've got the people that can do that, and I think we can make progress by doing that. But at the same time, give us the opportunity to think through issues and get 2 heads are better than 1, 3 are better than 2, and so on and so forth. And I think it would be important to use those committees.
Jeannie.
Well, we've had committees all these years that I've been on the council, and I happen to be on the street committee for one. And we have meetings, and I have been chairman of the recycling and sanitation committee, and I think it works out fine. There's a finance committee, which Sheila's the chairman of, and public safety committee. I believe Jack Goodman's of that. And I know if I have a problem, someone tells me, well, we think that speed limit needs to be raised over on a certain street. Well, I talk to Jack Goodman because he's chairman of that committee, and I tell him to take it and investigate it and see what he thinks. And I have
And
people.
then he goes to the mayor.
And then he goes to his committee, and then he comes back and tells the council, the whole council, the whole he'll tell. That's the way that we have
They
done
recommend.
it. Yeah, we recommend what we're going to do.
Yea or
or not.
nay.
And it's worked out all the 13 years I've been on there, the committees we've had, and we have the recreation, which is Sheila's on that too, I think, and I'm on, like you say, the landfill, the public landfill, and the recycling and sanitation in the street. Just like we met last week on what streets we was going to pave in this new budget year and what sidewalks we're going to repair or build new on. That was our decision. That's 6 members that's on that. I think there's 4 members on the recycling and sanitation and 6 on the street. So how many's on your committee? The public safety, I think, has got 4.
4 or 5, yeah.
And so there's
Finance
plenty of
is
committees,
5.
and we all,
5 and 5.
and I feel like the mayor does use our advice. And I think they're a good thing myself.
Sheila.
Well, you definitely have to have the committees. The mayor cannot handle it all. I mean, as chairman of finance, most anything that comes up that's going to cost money, it'll come to him or it'll come to me. And usually, if he gets it, he sends it to me because he wants me to go over it with the committee. And then we recommend back to him and the council with, like I said, a yay or a nay. Same thing with the street lighting. I'm chairman of the street lighting. We used to, the electric plant board would give us a list every year, and we kind of put a moratorium on it for a while because, I mean, we're spending $17,000 a month is the city's electric bill. I mean, you just don't realize that till you get in there and work. So now what we're doing is, I guess supply and demand would be the name. If you called and didn't have lights on your street, then we would go out and we would see what it's going to cost, and we put so much money each year to be used for that, and we watch that tightly. But I think what Walter Winn was getting at, in all the committees that we do now and we do work, I have heard from several other council members that they feel like that their talents are wasted on the committee that they're on. Like if they're on a street committee and they don't want to be, you know, like they're an accountant or whatever, they want to be on finance. Maybe their talents need to be utilized in on a different committee. In other words, give them some input. And I agree with him. I had planned that all along, and I had told them that if I were elected, because several on the council had encouraged me to run for mayor, and they want to switch around, and I think that's good. I think if they've got something to offer, that's why they're elected. They need to be heard from.
And
Chief.
Well, again, I believe in work, and I guess it's good to go last because what all three of you have said is pretty much, I think all of us agree together that you got to have committees. But yet, sometimes there are people who are better specialized in working on different things. But also, I like to see a community involvement also, because yeah, we are elected officials, but I think when the community has a say in some of the things that we do within the city, you know, even have committees set up in those areas, you know, certain neighborhoods or whatever, and that way everybody has a fair share in working together, because that's what we work as a team, and we have to work as elected officials as a team for the betterment of our community, and we have to have citizen, I think, participation.
You've had a strong mayor. He has used committees and so forth. But if he wanted to kill something that he didn't agree with, it's been my observation, he referred it to committee.
But it comes out of committee, and he doesn't always win.
I know, but that's a good way to kill it. And that's
yes,
what
for the evening it kills it.
That's what I was referring to.
Yes, sir, you are right.
I appreciate each one of you being here. I think we've covered an awful lot of subjects. I think each one of you has done well. I thank you a lot.